My parents kicked me out to give my room to my brother's wife. They told me, "You're a burden anyway," as she tossed my clothes onto the street. I didn't argue. I just smiled and walked away. 2 months later, they came to my door looking worried. My brother Carlos, who is 27, got married to Ellen, who is 25, last month after dating for only 3 months. I should have known something was wrong when she started making comments about my room during their first visit, saying things like, "This room has way better light than the guest room," or "What a great view." But I never thought my parents would actually kick me out over it. Yesterday, when I came home from work, I found Ellen putting my things into garbage bags while my mom, Rhonda, stood in the doorway. They didn't even wait for me to get home before they started. "What are you doing?" I shouted, watching my clothes fall onto the floor as Ellen yanked another drawer open. "Oh, good. You're home," my mom said, acting like everything was normal. "Ellen and Carlos need more space, so we're giving them your room. The guest room is too small for a married couple." I stood there, watching Ellen mishandle my laptop and almost drop it as she shoved it into a bag. "Be careful with that," I yelled, trying to grab it from her. "That's my work computer." "Don't talk to her like that," my brother Carlos appeared, getting in my face. "Show some respect to my wife." "Respect? She's throwing my things in trash bags." Then my dad, Henry, came stomping up the stairs. "What's all this yelling about, Dario? Are you giving Ellen trouble?" Of course, he thought I was the problem. It's been like this since Carlos was born. He was the favorite, and I was just the backup. "I just came home to find them throwing my stuff out," I said, trying to stay calm. "No warning, nothing. We told Carlos and Ellen they could have your room 2 days ago," my mom said. "It's not our fault you're never around to hear these things." I wanted to shout. I work 50 hours a week at Dad's business, doing all the work he can't handle because he doesn't understand technology. The only reason I'm not around is that I'm always working. "You're 23, Dario," my dad said in that annoying voice I've heard my whole life. "It's time you moved out anyway. You're becoming a burden." A burden. That word hit me hard. I'm the one who fixed their whole inventory system. I'm the one who set up their online ordering. I handle their social media and customer service. But apparently, I'm the burden. Ellen smirked as she dumped more of my clothes onto the pile. "Don't worry. I'll take great care of your room. I'm thinking of painting it sage green. It'll look so much better than these dark walls." I looked around my room, my space since I was 5. The walls I painted navy blue when I was 16. The desk I put in last year. The shelves I built for my books and games. All about to be painted over in sage green. But then, something inside me clicked, and I felt calm. "You know what? Fine," I said, starting to pick up my scattered clothes and putting them back in the bags nicely. "Give me 24 hours to pack everything properly and I'll be gone." They looked surprised by my sudden willingness to cooperate. Ellen's smirk faded a bit. "Well, good," my mom said, unsure. "That's very mature of you." I spent the next few hours carefully packing while they hovered around, probably expecting me to snap. But I stayed quiet, organizing my things and making sure to take everything that belonged to me, including the desk and shelves I paid for myself. My friend Mackenzie is letting me stay at her place until I figure things out. She was furious when I told her what happened and even offered to help me get back at them, but I told her not to. "I've got a better plan," I said. "What my family doesn't know is that I've been getting ready for something like this. Not exactly this, but I knew one day they might try to treat me poorly. I have savings, connections from working with Dad's clients, and most importantly, I have the passwords and access to every system I set up for their business. They never bothered to learn how any of it works. I'm not going to do anything illegal. I don't need to. They handed me everything I need to take them down legally. If Dad wants to call me a burden, fine. Let's see how well they manage their business without me." Hey, Reddit. I didn't expect my last post to get so much attention. Thank you for all the support and advice. A lot has happened in these 2 weeks, and I need to share. Quick recap. My parents kicked me out to give my room to Carlos's new wife, Ellen, calling me a burden while she threw my things into garbage bags. Instead of arguing, I just left quietly. Some of you said I was weak for not standing up to them. Trust me, I had my reasons. The last 2 weeks have been interesting. Remember how I worked at my dad's shop? Well, I got a new job at Morrison's, which is their competitor. The funny thing is, I was the one who handled most of our regular customers for the last 3 years. Guess who they prefer now? The drama at my old house is like a soap opera. Mackenzie, my best friend who's letting me stay at her place until my apartment is ready, still lives next to my parents, and the stories she tells me are crazy. Ellen has decided that my old room needs a complete makeover. She's talking about tearing down walls and building custom closets. My mom made the mistake of suggesting they wait a few months to save up for renovations. Mackenzie even recorded the big fight in her backyard. Ellen was yelling about how they promised her a nice home, and how she wouldn't have moved in if she knew they were lying. Very classy. Carlos, being a yes man, sided with her. He told Mom, "You're being selfish with your money. Just like you were with Dario's room." The irony is hilarious. Dad has been calling me non-stop since Thursday. Not to say sorry. That would require a spine. His best customer, Mr. Rodriguez, switched to Morrison's after I helped him with a complicated order that would have taken weeks at my dad's place. I know their system, their suppliers, and their prices. I know how to offer a better deal and still make a profit. When I finally answered, he started with his usual manipulation. "Son, after everything we've done for you," I cut him off. "You mean like throwing my things in garbage bags and calling me a burden? Or letting Ellen destroy the room I painted and took care of for 15 years? The silence was beautiful. But here's the best part. Ellen's demands for renovations are draining their money. Mackenzie heard my mom crying to her sister about maxing out 2 credit cards. They had to take money from their business account to pay for the custom closets Ellen insisted on. They're the same ones the Kardashians have. Like that makes it okay. Carlos lost his job last week because Ellen kept showing up at his work, making scenes about how he needs to come home early because she's too stressed to be alone. After 3 warnings, they let him go. Now he's working at a warehouse, making half of what he used to make. The best part? Ellen now wants them to turn the garage into a gym, because she needs a proper space to keep her body fit. She has 342 followers on Instagram. My dad's face when she showed him a $155,000 quote for gym equipment was priceless. Mackenzie said he looked like he was about to faint. I'm just watching everything unfold while steadily taking their customers, not stealing, just providing better service. It's amazing how treating people nicely and actually keeping promises can build a loyal customer base. Who knew? Yesterday I signed a lease for my new apartment. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine. No spoiled princess can throw my things out here. The look on Ellen's face when she drove by while I was moving in. Yeah, they still drive by Mackenzie's place trying to make me feel guilty. It was worth every penny of the deposit. Dad's business is struggling without me. Turns out I was doing a lot more than just helping with their online ordering system. I built that. I maintained their business relationships. Their reputation for customer service. Yeah, that was all me. Now they're getting bad reviews because Ellen convinced them to hire her cousin, who can't tell the difference between an invoice and a receipt. Mom tried to reach me through Mackenzie yesterday. They're having trouble paying both the mortgage and Ellen's renovation bill. Their business account is almost empty. Carlos and Ellen are still living in my perfectly good room, which now has a hole in the wall because they tried to install a fancy chandelier without checking for wires first. I didn't reply, just like they didn't reply when I asked for an hour to pack my things properly, instead of having them thrown in garbage bags. You get what you deserve, Mackenzie says. Now Ellen wants to convert the basement into a studio for making videos. I wonder if my parents' credit cards can take another hit. Guess we'll find out in my next update. Update 2. I didn't plan to post another update so soon, but wow, you guys, the chaos that's happening right now is beyond anything I expected. Quick recap for those who missed my previous posts. My parents kicked me out to give my room to Carlos's new wife, Ellen, calling me a burden. Instead of arguing, I smiled and left. Then I got a job at their competitor and started taking their clients by offering better service. Well, things have really hit the fan. Remember how Ellen was demanding all those renovations? She convinced my parents to refinance their house to pay for her ideas. A new kitchen, a bigger bathroom, custom closets, the works. My mom was against it at first, but Ellen used her tricks on my dad. Don't you want your first grandchild to grow up in a nice home? She asked. She said that to get her way, but she's not even pregnant. The costs for the renovations went way up. The workers found problems that needed fixing, and Ellen insisted on using the best materials. Meanwhile, I've been quietly building my client base at the competing business. Remember those notes I kept about our customers' likes and dislikes? They're really helpful now. One by one, they're switching over. Not because I'm bad-mouthing my family, but because I'm giving better service and keeping my promises. Yesterday, I was getting coffee when I heard my former neighbor talking. Did you hear the yelling from Henry and Rhonda's house last night? Apparently, Ellen had a huge meltdown because the fancy tiles she ordered for the bathroom were the wrong color. She was throwing things and screaming about how her dreams were falling apart. The neighbors even called the police about the noise. When the cops came, Ellen tried to blame my parents for ruining her life. So classy. But here's where it gets better. Carlos lost his job last week because Ellen kept showing up at his work and making scenes about how he needs to stand up to his parents and ask for his inheritance early. She even yelled at his boss for making him work 40 hours a week. They told him to take a break. He quit instead. The family business is struggling. Turns out, I was doing a lot more than they realized. Dad is getting desperate. He called me 3 times this week and left a voicemail saying they need to talk about the business. Mom texted me saying they miss my help. Yeah, they should have thought about that before calling me worthless and throwing my things in garbage bags. Mackenzie, who helped me when they kicked me out, works at the bank where my parents have their business account. She didn't give me any private information, but they tried to get another loan and were denied. Their credit is terrible because of all the renovation debt. Ellen still wants more upgrades. Now she wants the backyard redone because the neighbors can see into her space. Carlos and Ellen have started fighting too. I heard from friends that she's blaming him for not having enough money to finish the renovations. She thought he would inherit a successful business. But now she sees they are just regular people with a struggling business and a house they owe money on. Last week, she threw his PlayStation out the window during a fight. That was his main way to have fun since he lost his job. The karma train isn't stopping there. Remember how Ellen wanted to fire Maria, our housekeeper, because she didn't like how she looked at her? Maria now works for me. She's helping me manage the new clients I've taken from my parents. Turns out she has great organizing skills that my parents never used. She's making better money now and gets treated with respect. Dad is drinking more. The neighbors see him sitting in his car at night, just staring at the house. Mom has lost weight from stress. Carlos is sleeping on the couch because Ellen turned their bedroom into a yoga studio that she uses maybe twice a week. The renovation work is half finished because they ran out of money. There's a hole in the kitchen ceiling that they can't afford to fix. I haven't said anything to them. I don't need to. I'm just watching everything fall apart. My new place is small but paid for. My job is safe. My clients are happy. Meanwhile, their house looks like a mess. The business is failing, and they're all arguing. Ellen's latest fit was about the neighbors' kids being too loud while playing in their own backyard. She called the police to complain, and the cops basically told her to get over it. Now none of the neighbors want to talk to them. Some of you might think I'm being mean, but remember, they threw me out like trash, called me worthless, and said I was a burden. Now they're seeing how much I was holding everything together. The business will likely close soon. The house might go into foreclosure if they can't pay the new mortgage. Carlos and Ellen's marriage is hanging by a thread. All I did was walk away and improve my own life. Their choices did the rest. Mackenzie thinks I should feel sorry for them. I don't, not even a little bit. They made their bed, now they can lie in it. Their calls go straight to voicemail. Their texts get read but not answered. They burned that bridge when they chose Ellen over me. I just got another missed call from Dad while writing this. The voicemail was just him breathing heavily and then hanging up. I think he might have been crying. Too bad. They should have thought about the consequences before throwing me away. I'll update again if something big happens, but honestly, I'm focused on my own life now. Success is the best revenge, and watching them fall apart while I do well. Perfect. Final update. Hey Reddit, it's been about 2 months since my last update and wow, everything has just fallen apart for them, not me. grab your snacks because this is exactly what I've been waiting for. Last night, I was relaxing at home, watching YouTube and eating takeout when the doorbell started ringing a lot. I checked my camera and saw my parents standing there. Mom was crying, and Dad looked like he hadn't slept in days. Part of me wanted to ignore them, but I wanted to see what would happen. I opened the door and just stood there, not inviting them in. Mom tried to hug me, but I stepped back. "What do you want?" Dad started with his usual, "Son, we need to talk. The family is falling apart." "Of course it is," I replied. "That was the plan. The business is completely dead. Remember how I said I was taking their clients? I didn't just take them. I showed them how my parents had been overcharging for years. All I did was offer fair prices and better service. Totally legal, totally harsh. But here's where it gets interesting. Ellen, the princess they kicked me out for, maxed out 3 credit cards my parents co-signed. She convinced them it was for home improvements, but really, she was shopping for clothes and booking spa days while talking bad about them online. My friend Mackenzie works at the spa and kept me in the loop. The best part? They can't kick her out because Carlos said he wouldn't talk to them if they did. Mom was crying about how they might lose the house. I just smiled and said, "Like how I lost my home." The look on their faces was priceless. "We made a mistake," Dad said. "We need your help. You're doing well. We've seen your new place. Please, please, son." I laughed, actually laughed. "Remember when you called me a burden? When you threw my things in garbage bags?" Let me show you something. I pulled out my phone and showed them the email I got that morning. I'm now the proud owner of their house. Yeah, you heard right. I bought it at the bank's auction using a shell company. Totally legal, totally ruthless. Mom collapsed on my doorstep crying. Dad yelled at me for planning this, saying I was destroying the family. I cut him off. "No, you destroyed this family when you picked Ellen over your own son. I just watched it burn and enjoyed some marshmallows." Then Carlos and Ellen showed up. They followed my parents. Ellen started yelling that this was all my fault, that I ruined everything. I just recorded her meltdown on my phone while smiling. Carlos tried to act tough but stopped when I reminded him that getting into a fight wouldn't look good on his bad job application. "You have until the end of the month to move out," I told them. "All of you. I own the house now, and I'm not as nice as the bank. They gave you 60 days, I'm giving you 30. Ellen started crying about having nowhere to go. I shrugged and said, "There's a cheap motel down the street if you can afford it." Dad tried one last time. "We're your family." "No," I replied. "You are my family. Now you're just my tenants and you're getting evicted." I closed the door on them and blocked their numbers. Through my camera, I watched them stand there for another 20 minutes, arguing with each other. Ellen blaming my parents blaming Carlos, Carlos blaming everyone. Music to my ears. This morning, I got 34 missed calls and a bunch of texts from family members calling me heartless. I sent them all the same reply, a screenshot of Ellen's credit card statements showing how she spent $23,000 on fancy bags while my parents were missing their mortgage payments. The best part? I'm moving into my old room next month. I'm already planning to renovate the whole house and thinking of renting out the other rooms to people who really need a fresh start. Some people suggested I should forgive them and maybe help them out. Nope. They chose this path when they kicked me out. Actions have consequences, and I'm not their safety net. For those wondering, yes, this is all legal. Yes, I planned this from the moment they kicked me out, and no, I don't feel bad. They showed me who they really were, and I believed them. Now they get to live with their choices. If you enjoyed this Reddit story and want to hear more, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more thrilling content. Your support means a lot. Thank you for being part of this journey.